Hello and welcome to another Uniko video with me, Bev, the owner and designer of all things Uniko. I thought I'd squeeze in a quick video before the light fades today, a bit later than I originally planned, but a meeting I had at the boys' school today went on a little bit longer than I thought it would. Anyway, today I thought I would do a little Friday focus on one of the new Ink and Flip stencils, Ink and Flip Geometric Layering Gem. So it's a 2-layer stencil, and I thought I'd quickly just show some of the cards that were made during release. I know I did a video demonstrating this stencil last week when it was introduced, and I've got a little bit of another idea of pairing this stencil with another 2 stencils that came out, oh goodness me, I think it was 2023 time. Anyway, so this one was the one I made in the last video, and I demonstrated how you could do a rainbow effect with the Ink and Flip, but you could just do 2 colours. And then I used the gem in the centre, did the grey, and then when it's flipped I went through with the glitter paste to add some sparkle, and the sentiment was from the Sparkle Sentiment set, which came about to pair with this Ink and Flip. And then these were the others that I shared on the blog. This one I've used, I've embossed twice through the gem shape, once with silver and then with clear on this. It's not quite black cardstock, it's like smoky grey, and then another of the sentiments. And then this one, which was a Happy New Year card that I did. So I've chosen this stencil to have a look at today because it is featured in a new issue of Simply Cards and Papercrafts. Now, I don't have physical issues anymore of the magazines. I get digital issues because this started to take up too much space. So my idea today was to pair the gem with this lovely duo of stencils. So I'll just hold them out here. Hopefully you can see them both together here. Now this is Bokeh Layering Hearts stencil. You get 2 stencils in the pack, and the idea is that you can create a lovely bokeh effect as a background, but then there's some fun elements as well, in that the hearts, it's probably easier to show this one that is shaped with love inside, fits inside this larger heart as well. And the hearts are also sized that they will work with background builders hearts and big and bold love hearts that will fit inside the patterns. So I put a lot of thought into the products I design. So while I talk, I thought we'd do the background. Now I've gone ahead and cut my card to 10 centimeters by 13.5 centimeters, and I'm just going to secure it to my workspace. So yeah, I put quite a bit of thought into the products I design, whether it be stencils or stamps, and I have a few dies as well. As I like my products to be able to be interchanged, used, and get the most out of them, really. So I'm going to start off with this background, this part of the stencil as the background. I'm just going to secure it to my workspace. So when I designed the gem, I mean, I love hearts, I love Valentine's Day, I'm a bit of a romantic, I love all of that, but it isn't as big here in the UK as maybe it is in America and such. But I do like sort of Valentine's Day and all the heart products and things. But sometimes there's only so much you can do that's a little bit different. So I thought, well, what can I bring out that still has that lovely sort of love feeling, but can be used all year round? And that's when I thought of the gem. So that was a little bit of why I decided to do a gem as an ink and flip. It can be used for Valentine's Day, it can be used for weddings, anniversaries, engagements, all sorts. As you can see, I used it for New Year, to tell someone how special they are. So I'm going to use one of my sort of unusual colour combos, red and pink. A lot of people don't really like red and pink together, but I do. I think they're lovely. But as I say, you can do any colours. So bokeh is a photography term that creates this sort of shadowy effect behind your image. So that's what I'm going to try and do with this card idea that I've had in my head, of combining this duo of stencils with the gem. So I'm going to go in with the honeysuckle first. And I'm going to try and do it quite lightly. So I'm not pressing that hard with my blending brush, and I'm holding it a little bit further away from the head of the brush than I normally do when I'm doing a darker shade. I want this to be quite subtle, but also still visible. So yeah, I had this idea of combining the two to make a Valentine's card. And I might actually give it to my husband this year. He sees so many of the cards I make. I feel I'm always making him a card because he sees them all. But yeah, he doesn't watch my videos that I'm aware of. So hopefully this one will be a surprise to him. So I've just gone over quite lightly with this ink, but I'm still making it visible. So I used some temporary Scotch tape adhesive here to hold my stencil down, and that is the first layer. Now the second layer, you can literally place it wherever you want. Well, the first layer I've had it go over the top. Now I want to make sure that the design, there isn't too much of a gap here, so I'm going to pull this stencil down so some of it overlaps, and then I'm going to go in with the red. So I'm just going to secure again and then go in with the poppies. So these are Concord and 9th inks. I'm still in love with these inks. I use them a lot. It's my current favourite brand that sits next to me. And I'm just going to go over and add these hearts. As you can see, some of them have lines, stripes through the heart, some have polka dots, and then this one has the word love in it. And again, the idea of this stencil duo was that you can either use both together, use them individually, and like I said before, they do pair with some stamp sets as well that I have designed. Just notice my tape over there just a little bit. So yeah, they pair lovely with all sorts. And you can also selectively ink various parts as well. There's a few examples on the website of this stencil in use. It came out originally the same time as Falling Hearts Serenade, which came back in stock last week, and it pairs lovely with that as well. So hopefully I'm not doing this too dark, that you'll be able to see the hearts that I've already inked in the honeysuckle colour. And it'll create hopefully this shadowy effect. So once we lift this, it will reveal the background. So you can still see the pink hearts, and it just creates this lovely layered background that isn't too fussy. It's still quite simple. And then, so what I wanted to do is I'm just going to move that to the side, and we're going to work on the gem part of the card idea. So I'm just using this layer, the top layer, or that I call it, of the ink and flip. I call this as the background layer because it creates the background, and this the top layer. I kind of favour sometimes the top layer of these ink and flips, but there is a lot of examples and videos on my feed, on my channel here, using the various ink and flip designs. So again, I've just secured my piece of card on my workspace using temporary adhesive, and I'm going to go ahead and secure the gem in place and do the first layer of ink. So I'm going to do the first layer in Oceanside, which is a lovely aqua colour. Again, I'm going to do it fairly lightly. I want a sort of softer feel to this card than I usually go quite heavy and dark with my colours for nice bright intense colours, but I'm going to do it quite lightly today. And then we're going to add a bit of shine as well to the diamond, the gem, once we've got it on the card. So I'm going quite lightly. I want it to be seen but not too intense. I don't know, I haven't studied gems a lot, but one thing I do like is how the light shines off them, and you sort of get a rainbow of colours, and different colours depending on the cut and the refraction of light, you know, all to do with the science of it. But yeah, I won't talk too much about that because I am not that knowledgeable about it. So I'm just going in here quite soft until I'm happy, and I think that should be all right. So then what you want to do is take this off. I just secure my tape on my hand, and then you want a little damp cloth. I keep one of these microfiber cloths damp on my desk, and you just want to give it a wipe over, but then you want to dry it before you flip. Still haven't bought that tea towel back into my studio yet, so I've just dried it off. We did it this way, and then you're just going to flip it over and you're going to line it up. Now there's going to be a little gap in between each of the shapes, apart from the very top, and they sit together. I'll just secure this and then I'll bring in an example. So you'll see here that there is a gap in between each of the shapes, and then the two little shapes at the top, they do sit together to form the top of the gem. Now I'm going to go in with a light grey. It's not going to show up super dark, especially as I'm going to add some paste some sparkle paste to it. So it will dull, but it'll just help with cutting out really. I probably didn't really need to add any ink to this brush. It's one that's had greys on it before. So there probably is quite a little bit left on my brush. So I'm just going to go in lightly because the paste will hide it. You won't see it as much. But it just helps adding a bit of colour to then be able to cut the gem out. As you know, I like dimension. Not too much dimension, but a little bit just to help draw your focus. So this is fairly easy to cut out as it's nice straight lines. So I'm just using my paper snips to cut along the straight edges, just leaving a slight white border to match the borders in between the shapes. And then I use 1mm thick foam adhesive to adhere it. So I actually tested out this design last night, and I looked at it and I've used exactly the same colours, and I thought, oh yeah, it looks lovely, but it just needs that something else, and that something else, I think it just needs a little bit of sparkle. So we'll go back in when we've added the sentiment and add some paste. So I'm going to adhere it first. Might be trickier doing it this way. Obviously I could have pre-prepared a gem, but I'm not always that forward thinking, especially when I've had a busy morning and my brain has been somewhere else. So I'm just popping this tape on. It's funny how we have, as women, we're always sort of jumping from one task to the next task and pre-thinking, and there's always a few little bits that we don't think about. Well, I don't think about until the moment. One day I might learn to do, the more I do of these videos, I think the more prepared I will be in advance, other than just having an idea. So I've just put the little squares on. I want the gem sort of to be central-ish if I can. I always seem to have my wonky eyes on when I do videos as well. So I was happy with that, and then I went ahead, I did pre-do this bit actually, because I never stuck the sentiment on my first card. Now there is part of the sentiment, but I'm just trying to work out where the other part disappeared to. So definitely, there it is. Happy Valentine's Day. So this is, the happy is from Simply Said blocks, and the Valentine's Day is from the new Simply Said occasions, and I stamped these in Concord and 9th Dove ink, and I am going to leave a little white border again. Just to ease of use, and it kind of matches the border on the gem. And in the occasions there's also wedding day, so you could do this card for a wedding day, anniversary, and there is engagement as well. So because I've done it for Valentine's Day, I just chose it as it's coming up soon, and I'm seeing lots of love themed cards and projects across social media, so I thought I would do one as well. But you could easily change it for another love themed card just by switching out the sentiment. So there's lots of options. So yeah, this ink and flip and the other new one, which is ink and flip layering flower, are both featured in the newest issue of Simply Cards and Papercrafts magazine, issue 266. Hit the shelves yesterday, I believe, or the day before. It might have been the 9th. I can't. Oh yeah, yesterday was the 9th. I'm jumping ahead of myself. So I've just cut them out. And now it's to decide, do I do it in a trio or do I do Valentine's Day? I think I might do it in a little trio like this. And that way, not too much is covered up. But, you know, yeah. So I'm going to use foam adhesive again, just to add a little bit of dimension. I like my little bit of dimension, but not too much. As you see, I didn't plan this little bit out. But I got, I like the look of the gem above the hearts. So I'm just lining the P up with the middle of the gem as best I can. I eyeball everything. These are quite fiddly. Not everyone loves these fiddly squares, but I quite like them. It's nice to sit down and get creating again after a busy few days. All the lovely release orders have kept me super busy, which is lovely, but it's left little time for creating new cards. But it's nice this afternoon to sit down, clear my mind and craft. I do find it really therapeutic. And then the last section here is the day. I'm trying to just make sure that there is an even gap between them. So now I thought what I'd do is add a bit of sparkle to the grey area. It just needs something, and I think a little bit of sparkle will help. So what I'm doing is I'm just laying the stencil back over the inked area, and I'm going to secure it in place. I'm going to put a bit of tape top and bottom as well, just so it's extra secure. This is still the super sticky tape, so I just put it on my hand just to take a little bit of the stick off. More so where this stencil just overlaps the bottom here. So I just want to make sure it's in place. And then I'm going to put some of this Nouveau Glimmer Paste on. This was Moonstone. It is a bit like hen's teeth trying to find this stuff, but I managed to find somewhere on Amazon here in the UK for a reasonable price, and I got a few pots, but I do use it quite a lot. I'm just going to get a little bit out, and then I'm just going to spread onto my card. Just a reminder, you need to clean off any paste you put through your stencils fairly quickly, because it does dry quickly, and if it's left on your stencil, you'll know it'll be all awkward and not as smooth getting blending inks through it. So what I'm going to do is, as I normally clean mine straight away in the bathroom, I'm just going to use my damp cloth that's next to me just to get the majority off before I go and clean it after the video. And like before, I got glitter all over my hand. So as you can see, even though it dries clear, it does hide a little bit of the colour with the sparkles inside, but I think that just adds a really nice sparkly touch to it with the aqua. And I still think it needs a little bit more sparkle. So what I'm going to add is some sparkly rhinestones. These are, I can't even remember what brand they are, but they're a lovely faceted clear rhinestone. Just trying to see if I had my little pokey tool out on my desk. No, it's back in its pot where it should be. I'm terrible for not putting stuff away. Now, I brought these out because there's this lovely size here that pairs nicely with these tinier ones, and I'm just picking areas. I have a bit of a rhyme and reason to what I do, how I apply them. I tend to do them in a triangle and in threes, sort of in and around the sentiment, but then I want to obviously draw the focus up to the gem a little bit as well, and I'm going to float this one around here, I think. And you can add more, but I tend to stick to about 3. Don't want to overdo it too much. And I'll bring in the card that I made yesterday. Actually, I was going to mount it as well, which I forgot to do. Which I will do. I'll have to change my sizing a little bit. I've got my measurements wrong, but there you go. But I think, as you can see, I'm not the perfect crafter. I make measurement mistakes, but I think you'll agree with me that adding the sparkle to the layer and adding obviously the sentiment with a few gems has changed the look of the card and just given it that extra something. As I say, I will mount the card and I'll take photographs and it will be shared on my social media today. So thank you for joining me for this random video and a look at the Bokeh Layering Heart stencil paired with the Ink and Flip geometric gem layering stencil. Obviously we've only used one layer of the Ink and Flip today. Thank you for all the likes, comments, and welcome to all the new subscribers here on the Uniko channel. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.